Howdy y'all, thank you for joining me today for this playthrough of Iceman, the Marvel Champions, the card game hero pack. This is where I like to take this, which is already a pre-constructed deck, and basically just put it up against something else in that same block or scenario that it's doing. In this case, we're going to do the 4 Horsemen from the Age of Apocalypse, since this is the block that it's kind of in, or story block, however you want to call it, story arc. I'm not going to go into too much here because I'm going to try to rush this video out so I can get it as soon as possible. But, yep, we're going to do this solo, playing Iceman like I said. And this is the unchanged deck. I just took it straight from here, sleeved it up, shuffled it up, and we're going to see how it goes. Now, this won't be a complete teach video. All I'm going to do is just do the first round. Basically, just to get the basics. That way, if this is your first time and Iceman was your favorite character, so you want to see if this is the game for you, see how it plays, whatever reason why you're watching this video. I just do this for the fun of it. I'm just talking and jabbing while I'm shuffling up cards here, but I just like to do this for the fun of it because I do love this game and I want more people to be able to experience this game. It is not quite in my top 10, but it is one of my favorite games to play. And then also with the villain deck here, well, give myself more space. I'm going to put my deck over here. So I decided to zoom in a little bit there just to give y'all the better look at the cards. I didn't realize how zoomed out it really was. Alright, so this is the 4 Horsemen deck. I just built it like it tells me in the on the main scheme. The only difference I did was instead of doing the Dystopian Nightmare, because I had to, basically, if you saw my unboxing with Iceman, or if you already know, there was the Sauron little encounter. I decided to replace one of the basic encounters you mix into this with the Sauron encounter, and it was going to be either Dystopian Nightmare or Hounds. I felt like the 4 Horsemen with the Hounds fit more, and just get rid of the Dystopian Nightmare to where it's there in our world, I guess. We're going to be going against the 4 Horsemen. The way they work, we got to knock all of them out, but they aren't knocked out until they're all at 0 hit points. So I got them all at their 9 hit points here. And then we always have one of them that is active, and I'm going to use my little marker here to mark who the active one is. So let's look at the scheme, see if we got this set up. Contents, we got the 4 Horsemen. Like I said, it says 2 modular sets. I just got rid of Dystopian Nightmare and put Sauron in there. So Sauron and the Hounds. For setup, shuffle the 4 Horsemen villains. I did do that randomly. Place the active counter on the leftmost villain. Did that. Good thing I've been shuffling this deck because we got to reveal, I always forget that, a random side scheme from the 4 Horsemen encounter set. So let's do that. So we're looking for, there it is, Ravages of War. So we got Ravages of War here as a random side scheme, which we're definitely going to have to take care of, which as an aggression deck, I don't know how fast I'm going to be able to do that. There's the 6th threat that gets added to the Ravages of War. And it's just letting us know as a forced response that after war activates, this will move to famine, and they'll be the new active one until they activate, and so forth and so forth. The villain stuff should be set up now. So we got Bobby Drake here and Iceman. I don't know how this is going to go. If you've watched my videos, you know I'm not an aggression player, so I'm probably not going to do very well with this one. We're going to do a few more shuffles here to draw our hand size of 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Alright, let's see what we drew here. Well, at least got an ally, which we're probably going to get out. Oh, 2 allies, so we got some choices there. So we get our starting hand size of 6. And if you're new, it's from this. That's our starting hand size. We're at our 11 hit points. Alright, let's get going with this. So basically, the way this works is we're going to go through. We got the player phase, and then we got the villain phase, and that'll be 1 round, and we're going to go through that. we have to knock out all 4 of the Horsemen in order to win. But we lose if the Horsemen pull off their main scheme here, which means they get 12 of these threat on this, because it's 12 threat per player. So they get 12 threat on there, we lose. Or if they manage to knock me out. We start with the player phase. And like I said, I'm going to go through a teach, but the teach is just really going to be just to touch the quick points there. And that way, if it's someone who's new, they can at least follow along. It'll just be for the first round, or if there's something I feel that comes up. So one of the things you can do on your turn is you can play cards from your hand. If you look at the top of the card, it's got a number there. That is the cost and resources it takes to play said card. In order to get those resources, you just, if you'll notice on the bottom of the cards here, it's got these little symbols here. Those are resources. So in order to spend those resources, you just discard those cards, and that spends the resources that are there. So it doesn't matter what color they are. So in this case, I want to play this card. It costs 2. So I'm going to discard these 2 cards as resources. That should pay for the card. I really wanted to bring this out, but because War is the active villain here, and when he attacks me, he's going to make me get rid of a support or control anyways. Might as well not bring out a support, because I'm most likely going to lose it anyway. So I brought out Snow Clone here. I paid for it. This is an ally. It comes out into play. You can have up to 3 allies into play at a time. And we'll get to what more the allies do. So this ally here, though, it says he cannot have upgrades attached to him, so you can't beef him up. And then he's got a special when he attacks. He cannot thwart, but he has a special when he attacks that says that Snow Clone takes -1 consequence damage after it attacks an enemy with Frostbite attached. So we're gonna try to get Frostbite attached to whoever I decide to do something with, or get Frostbite attached so we can hopefully do something about the Snow Clone here. All right. One of the other things you can do on your turn is you're limited once per round, that you get a free switch between alter ego to hero form, or vice versa. You can switch forms once per round for free. You can do it more times if you have other things, but this is the one time you can just do it for free. So I'm going to go ahead and do that and switch to my hero form, which basically changes your abilities here and changes your basic abilities here. My other ability only triggers whenever I switch here, so there's no reason to try to trigger it. But we're going to switch to the Iceman form here, which now gives me my 1 thwart, 2 attack, and 2 defense. And as an interrupt, when Iceman makes a basic attack or defense against an enemy, attach a set-aside copy of Frostbite on that enemy, to that enemy. Iceman is now in hero form. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to play another card here. This one costs me 2. So, 2. And this is an attack event, or this is an event. And I said attack, but it's actually an event. And this is a thwart event. As a hero action, I can remove 3 threat from a scheme, attach a set-aside copy of Frostbite to an enemy. So an event is a one-time play if you're new. So I get to remove 3 threat from a scheme. Well, we have none on the main scheme. But we do have 6 here, which I do want to get rid of this. There's no way I'm going to get rid of it all, so we're going to have to deal with this annoying thing. But that removes 3 threat from the scheme. So I also noticed here, good thing I didn't bring out that support, because even when I do defeat this, which is the main thing I'm going to be trying to do here, this is going to make me discard an upgrade or support anyways. So as much as I wanted that to help me out throughout the game, I don't think it was long for this world. Alright, so we removed that 3 threat, but remember there's another part to this. It says attach a set-aside copy of Frostbite to an enemy. So we're going to take this Frostbite here, which is the main thing that Iceman does here, is he puts these permanents, upgrades on something. Its attached enemy gets -1 scheme and -1 attack. As a forced response, after attached enemy activates or leaves play, set this card aside. So we get to put it on any enemy, which we have 4 of at the moment. which I was going to put this on War, but I just realized this is an upgrade. And even though it's not in my play area, it's still a card I played, so I still control it. So after he attacks me, he's going to make me get rid of this anyways. I was going to put it on, actually I said I was going to put it on War. I was going to put it on Death. But when War attacks, if he has at least one hit point, which he's definitely going to have, discard an upgrade or support I control. So I'd have to get rid of it anyways. So I might as well put it on War for now. And so that I'm not making a mess by constantly having cards like picking them up, picking them down. I'm just going to put this on there, meaning Frostbite, and just have this to the side, knowing that that's where the Frostbite's at. It's on this guy. Well, actually, that's going to get confusing, isn't it? Wow. If it does, I'll figure something out. But it's just so I don't have to keep making a mess here as I'm cleaning up. But, so War has Frostbite, so he's got -1 scheme and -1 attack. And then after he activates, the Frostbite will go away, which he's going to get rid of it anyway. So, yep. That's what we're going to do. Okay, so next, you can do what's called a basic action. The basic actions are right here on your card. So, if I want, I can exhaust Iceman here, and I can thwart a scheme for this much, which we saw thwart, which means I'd come over here and remove threat from a scheme. Or I can exhaust Iceman and attack an enemy for this much. Or if I have an attack coming in from an enemy, I can exhaust Iceman to defend and reduce the damage by this much. On the alter ego side, you have another one that is recovery, which means I can exhaust the character and be able to recover this number of hit points. Of course, I can't do that because I'm not in alter ego form and I'm at full. But we are on this side and we're going to do one of these things. Now, normally with Iceman, I'd want to do his basic attack because it would let me set out another Frostbite. But that Ravages of War, and with an aggression deck, it's going to be really hard for me to get rid of that Ravages of War. So in this case, we're going to have Iceman thwart the Ravages of War for 1 threat. So he removes 1 threat from the Ravages of War. We almost got that done. We're just going to have to deal with all this later. Now, allies can do the same thing. If you'll notice, they have thwart. Well, this one doesn't, but they have thwart and attack here. In this case, this one cannot thwart, but he can attack. And then they can also defend. Well, they can defend, but when they defend, they don't have a defense that reduces their damage. Instead, they just got to take it to the face, which in this case, he's got 2 hit points. But we're going to go ahead and use Snow Cologne here to attack War. And the reason we're doing that is because if you'll notice, there's this little star there. That's saying that when your ally does one of these actions, they have to take consequence damage afterwards, equal to however many consequence stars are there. But in this case, Snow Clone takes -1 consequential damage after it attacks an enemy with Frostbite attached. So, since Frostbite is attached to War, I'm going to go ahead and have Snow Clone attack War for 2 damage. So War has Frostbite attached, is going to take 2 damage. And then, normally that would take the 1 consequence damage, but since it had the attachment to it, Snow Clone does not take the damage. Once you are done with doing actions for your turn, or you have no more actions to do, which, there's only one thing I did not talk about, and it's because I didn't have it out here, but there are actions that could be on your cards that you could do, or like that event I did, it said hero action, which meant I had to be in hero form, but it's an action I could do. That is just something else you could do on your turn. But other than that, it's everything you do on your turn. You just keep doing stuff till you're done, which in this case, I'm done. I have no cards in hand, have no more things I could do out here. So we go to the end of the player's phase. After all the players have gone, which in this case, I am the only player, which I forgot to give myself the first player marker, but it's because I'm the only player, I'm solo. But once all the players are done, the next thing you do is you can discard any cards you want to from your hand. I have no cards in hand, so I have nothing to discard. Then after that, you draw up to whatever your hand size is. Now remember, my hand size was 6 in alter ego form. I'm in hero form, so I draw up to my hand size of 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then after you have drawn up, you ready and unexhaust all of your cards in your play area. Next, we begin with the villain phase. So the first step of the villain phase is we have to accelerate. They're going to accelerate their main scheme. So you just look here and it tells you how much threat to add to this per player. In this case, add +1 per player. So we add 1 threat. So now it's got 1 to the 12th threat for them to pull off their main scheme and win. The next step of the villain phase is, normally there's only 1 villain, but in this case we're fighting all 4. But this is the one we're going to be looking at. And what the villain's going to do is the villain will check to see what form your identity is in. And they're going to do this for every player. In this case, we're solo, so it's only going to be me. And if I'm in alter ego form, then the villain will scheme and add more threat to the main scheme. If I'm in hero form, they will attack that identity. In this case, I am in hero form. So war here is going to attack me. This is when I would have to choose to defend or not, so that I can reduce the damage coming into me. I'm going to choose not to defend. So war is going to be attacking me for 2 damage. Remember, he has a -1 because he's got frostbite here, so he's -1 attack. So he's going to be doing 1 damage. But also, if they are the villain, they get what's called a boost card. So I'll deal this top card to the boost pile, which in this case I have no boost pile. This is it. And then after that, we're going to flip it over. We're going to ignore everything on the card. Oh, this is a great one to have for this. But we're going to ignore everything on this card except for these little symbols down at the bottom. We're looking here, because whatever symbols there, or how many number symbols are there, that's how much extra they're going to get to whatever they did. So in this case, he was attacking for 2 - 1, 1 plus 2. So he's going to do 3 damage to me. And yeah, this is the card that, if you're new, this is the one you want to see happen to the boost pile. Because in the boost pile, this would bring out my nemesis, which just makes the game a lot harder. So, yep. So he's doing 3 damage to me. I did not defend. So I got to take 3 damage. But also, it says we got 2 triggers going on here. Both of them are forced responses. Well, actually, we got 3 triggers, all forced responses. We got the frostbite, which says after attached enemy activates or leaves play, set this card aside. So he activated. This one also says after war attacks me. He did. I don't know which one of those would have gone in whatever order, but either way it would have happened. After war attacks you, if he has at least 1 hit point, which he does, discard and upgrade support I control. The only one I controlled was the frostbite, because I have only an ally in my main identity here, so nothing to discard there. And then we have the forced response over here, which says after a villain activates, move the active counter to the next villain. So now Famine is going to be the next villain to activate, which is going to make me discard whenever they attack. Whenever she attacks me, she will make me discard the top 10 cards of my deck. Alright, so that was all from that villain attacking. And then if I had any minions engaged with me, which I do not, but if I did, they would also do the same thing. They just would not get the boost card like the villain did. Unless they have Villainous, which is an ability that gives them the boost card. Next is the encounter step. In the encounter step, each player is going to be dealt 1 card to their encounter pile. But in this case, we have this thing, which means we have this symbol out, which means we have to deal an additional card to the first player. So we're going to deal with 2 encounters. I do not like that. So we definitely need to get rid of this. Alright. And then now we're going to have to deal with these encounter cards one at a time. And we're going to have to... Now we care what the card says. So in this case, Rough Riders. We have a treachery here. When revealed, we resolve the forced response on the active villain as if it had at least 1 hit point and attacked me. So we're doing their forced response, which is if they attacked me, and whether they had 1 hit point or not. So they're doing their thing no matter what. So we have to do that, which is Famine's thing, which is to discard the top 10 cards of my deck. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I do not like that. That got rid of a lot of good things. Boo. Then it says, move the active counter to the next villain and resolve its forced response in the same way. Alright, here we go. So after Pestilence attacks you, if you had at least 1 hit point, like I said, it just says activate them like they attacked me. But this isn't activating them, so it's not going to trigger this forced response. It's just making it as if they activate. The only reason we moved it up is because the card told us to do that. But anyways, it's like my text box is blank. Lovely. I love seeing that. Not really. So we're just going to move this over this so we don't forget that our text box is blank. It's like we have nothing there. Until the end of the next villain phase. Or until the next villain phase begins. Boo. Alright, that was the first one. Now we got to deal with this. Oh my goodness. Horseman of a Pestilence. So, Pestilence again. When revealed, heal 2 damage from Pestilence and give her a tough status card. So, she heals, but she can't heal, so she's at full. Now she also gets a tough status card. So what a tough status card is it means it would go on her. And basically, the next time that character would take any amount of damage, I discard this status card instead. We're going to just put this on there. That way we remember that she wouldn't take damage instead. That just goes away. Ugh. I am not liking this. And give her a tough status card. Then she activates against you. Lovely. So once again, we look. I'm in hero form, so she's going to attack me. I'm not going to defend again, so here we go. Boost card and another +2. So 3 damage again. This may be a faster game than I thought. I almost forgot the forced response. Since she activated against me, this would move here, making death the active. And then also, she just makes my text box blank. It's already blank, so. And with that, we're done with our encounter cards. We've done all of our encounter cards. So the last step of the villain phase is to pass the first player marker to the next player. In this case, we're solo, so that's it. And that's it. We're going to go back and forth until we either knock out all the 4 horsemen, or they knock me out, or pull off their main scheme. So, with that, let's go back to the beginning of my turn, and let's get this going. Alright, first thing I'm going to do is I want to bring out Beak here. It cost me 2 resources to do it. I have the power in all of us. It says double the number of resources this card generates when paying for a basic gray card. So, this is a basic gray card. So it doubles it, making it 1 card to pay for this card alone. And then Beak has a response that says, after you play Beak from your hand, remove 1 threat from a scheme for each X-Men ally you control. So I control 1, and Snow Clone is another X-Men ally, so I control 2 X-Men allies. So I get to remove 2 threat from a scheme, which is enough to finish off this Ravages of War. And then it has, when defeated, the player who defeated this scheme discards an upgrade or support they control. I do not control any, so that's a good time to do that. Next, I want to bring out my other Snow Clone. It cost me 2 to do that, so there we go. We have another Snow Clone out. I have no way to get frostbite on anyone, so I don't want my snow clones to take damage. But Beak's got to take damage no matter what. I'm going to have Beak go ahead and attack Pestilence. Because even though these are the active villain, I can choose to attack anybody I want to. Okay, so I'm attacking Pestilence for 1 damage from Beak here, which is enough to just get rid of this toughness is the main reason I'm doing it. But because Beak attacked, he has to take consequence damage equal to his star, so 1 damage. He's got 1 hit point left. Next, I'm going to go ahead and switch to my alter ego form, which really sucks because my text box is blank. Otherwise, I'd get to shuffle some cards back into my deck is what my ability here is, the cool off one. But my text box is blank, except for traits, until the beginning of the next villain phase. So I don't get to do that. But I am going to exhaust Bobby Drake and recover 4 hit points with the basic recover action, putting me back to 9. After that, I have no cards in hand, no more actions that I want to do. So we're going to draw up to our hand size of, I have no cards to discard, so nothing to discard. So we're going to draw up to my hand size of 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Ready all of our stuff. Accelerate the main scheme by 1. Next, Death will now activate against me because he's the active. I'm in alter ego form. So he's going to scheme for 3. Another good one to go in for a boost because that was my obligation. So he's going to scheme for 3, which is going to add 3 more threat. Oop, we're going to have to take care of this now. So 3 more threats. So I got 5 to the 12 here, and I'll kind of spread that out a little bit, even though it's probably still hard to see because I use these crystals. Now, his force response does not, these force response on the Horsemen do not trigger unless they attack. He did not attack me. He schemed. But it still has this force response that after he activates, this moves over to here. Now we go to the encounter phase and see how they mess with me this time. Ahab's energy sphere. Attached to Ahab, otherwise attached to the villain. So it's going to go to war because they're the active villain right now. It's a forced interrupt. When attached enemy attacks you, this attack gains overkill, which means if I were to block with one of my allies, any damage over their hit points will carry over into me. And piercing, which means if they had toughness like Pestilence had here, that it would remove the toughness first, then deal damage. At the end of this attack, discard Ahab's energy spear, and it's giving him +2 attack. So War's going to have +4 attack with overkill and piercing. One big boom. I did forget, it said it stayed there until the next villain phase begins. So I actually have my card ability back, or my traits back, or my ability box is no longer blank. All right, back to the beginning of my turn. So first thing first, let's flip Iceman to his hero form. All right, I think I have a way to take care of not losing this support. Let's hope they don't mess me around, but we'll see. All right, so we got team building exercise here. I want to bring it out. It costs 2. I do have another power in all of us, which, if you remember, doubles the number of resources this card generates when paying for a basic gray card, which is this. So we got to bring team building exercise into play, which is as a hero action. This is one of the things I was talking about where I can activate it as an action out here. I can exhaust team building exercise, play a card from my hand that shares a trait with my hero, reducing its resource cost by 1. So I'm hoping it lets me bring out a lot of my ice cards, since I have the ice trait here. That's the reason I wanted it for all these, because these all had X-Men or ice, which would have made them cheaper, but war wasn't letting me do that, and then we had the war side scheme. But I want to play this card. So I'm going to activate team building exercise, which remember makes a card that has ice or X-Men in it 1 cheaper. I'm doing Frozen Solid, which has ice in it, so this only costs me 2. So I'm going to discard these 2. And that lets me put Frozen Solid into play. And what this is an upgrade that I can only do in hero form only, attached to an enemy. And it says, as a forced interrupt, when attached enemy would activate, discard Frozen Solid instead. Then attach a set-aside copy of Frostbite to that enemy. So I'm going to put that on War here, because that's going to make it to where War doesn't get to attack me. Instead, it'll get rid of that card. So then I won't have to get rid of my support. I can actually sit on my support a little bit. But no, let's go ahead and have Iceman attack War. And remember, when Iceman makes a basic attack or defense, that I get to put a Frostbite on them. So I'm going to attack War for 2 damage, which is going to do 2 damage to War. And then it's going to put that Frostbite on War. I know, it's more confusing. I could have just done something I did there. But I'll just put it here to the side. Ugh, hate that glare, but oh well. Alright. And next, I'm going to have Snow Clone. Let's just go ahead and speed this up. Both Snow Clones are going to attack War for 2 damage each. And because Frostbite is on War, they're just going to take, they ain't going to take any consequence damage. So they're just going to do 2 and 2. So we're doing 4 damage to War, taking War down to 1. I should be able to take out War. I mean, I could do it now with Beak, but I think we need to start cleaning up that side scheme. So we're going to have Beak thwart the side scheme, or the main scheme, I should say, for 1. And then he takes his last consequence damage and gets KO'd. With that, I am done with my turn. I want to keep this in hand, so I have 1 card in hand. Draw up to our hand size of 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, we got another ally if we want to bring it out. Ready all of our stuff. Accelerate the scheme, so the one that Beak got rid of. Next, the villain activates, but remember, because of this, and when they would activate, instead, discard Frozen Solid instead, then attach a set-aside copy of Frostbite to that enemy. So we discard this, and put another Frostbite on War. No minions, so we go to the encounter phase, and hopefully this isn't a bad one again, and do our 1 encounter card. The Eye of Sauron. When revealed, discard the top 2 cards of your deck. For each resource icon discarded this way, do the following. Alright, so we're going to discard these 2 cards from my deck, which are Reflex and Mental, or Energy and Mental, sorry. Energy and Mental. Pretty sure that's Energy and Mental, yeah. Like I said, I mix them up all the time because of Legendary. So it's these top 2 that we got to do. So it is place 1 threat on the main scheme. Alright. Ugh. 6 to the 12, halfway there. Might have to start doing something with that. And discard 1 card from my hand. Well, that really flubbed up what I wanted to do, so I guess we'll discard this. I think I'm going to live to regret that. That goes to the beginning of my turn. Yeah, I got a plan here. Let's do this. I want to bring this out like I wanted to last time. So it's a 2 cost. Yeah, we're getting rid of our thing here, but I'm hoping to be able to shuffle those chill outs back into my deck. And let's bring out Cryoconnect Perception, which is a hero response that after I resolve my freeze ability, I can exhaust this card to draw a card. And if that card has the ice trait, I get to ready Iceman. Well, let's take care of one of the immediate problems. I don't want to lose either one of these because when War attacks, which they should do this turn. So we're going to have Snow Clone go ahead and attack War. And that should be enough to knock War out. But they don't actually get knocked out till they're all knocked out. That's just what it says on each of these. As long as one of these has 1 hit point, they're not defeated. But since War has had Frostbite, Snow Cone doesn't take any damage. But see, the main reason I did that was it's only if they have 1 hit point that I have to discard an upgrade or support. So that makes it when it attacks, I don't have to get rid of my support or upgrades. Next, we're going to have Iceman go ahead and attack Death. I take it back. Death's down the line here. We're just going to hope we don't hit one of those cards again. We're going to go ahead and start taking care of Famine also, because we just need to start taking care of these and hoping we get them down the line. So we're going to attack Famine for 2 hit points. And then that puts a Frostbite on Famine. And I have this hero response here that after I resolve, I mean, that was an interrupt, but after I resolve my freeze ability, I exhaust this card to draw a card. Hoping it's got the ice trait, because then I get to ready Iceman. It does not have the ice trait. I'm going to bring out Shark Girl here. I'm going to use team building exercise. Well, actually, I guess I would do it in this order. It says exhaust it to play a card from my hand. And if it shares a trait, which it does, shares X-Men with Iceman here, it's reduced by 1, so it only costs me 1. So we're going to do this recuperation as a resource to bring out Shark Girl here. And Shark Girl, she can't really help me thwart, but she can attack for 2, and then she also gets +1 attack for every upgrade attached to the enemy. I'm going to have Shark Girl go ahead and attack Famine for 2, but Famine has, and she gets +1 for each upgrade so attached to her. She has 1 upgrade attached, so Famine's actually going to take 3 damage. But Shark Girl takes 1 for that. And then Snow Clone's going to attack. And remember, if they have an upgrade, won't take the consequence damage. They are Frostbite, I mean. They have Frostbite, so won't take the consequence damage, but does do 2 damage to Famine. I think I did something wrong there, because Famine was at 7. Yeah, I don't know where I did it. I think I clicked 1 extra time that I shouldn't have, unless there's something I'm forgetting. And if there is, oh well. But I just don't see how I had it at 1, because I attacked with Iceman for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, he should be, Famine should be at 2. So, all right. I'm also going to go ahead and go to Alter Ego form. We're going to go to Alter Ego form. After I change this form, shuffle 1 ice card from my discard pile into my deck for each copy of Frostbite in play. Oh, it wasn't what I thought I was thinking. I was thinking it was, I thought I was only going to be able to do 2, but it's for Frostbite. All right, well, let me go get, we have 3 Frostbites in play, so I get to shuffle 3 ice cards back in. Pretty sure they're going to be the chill outs. Actually, I was going back and forth, so there was a long cut there I just cut out. I'm going to put 2 chill outs and an Arctic Attack back in. So we're going to shuffle those into the deck. And while I'm shuffling that, yep, I have no cards in hand. I mean, done my turn, so I have no cards in hand. So, nothing to discard. We're in Alter Ego form, so we're going to draw up to our hand size of 6, which is going to be pretty much most of our deck here. Should be good enough, because I'm about to draw most of these anyways. 3, 4, 5, 6, leaving 3 cards in deck. And what we drew, did we not draw? We had to have drawn one of our chill outs at least. Seriously? We did not draw a single one of our chill outs? Alright, I see how that's going to go. Guess I should have put all 3 in. Because actually the Arctic Attack would have been the other chill out. Oh well. Alright, ready all our stuff? Accelerate the scheme by 1. 7 to the 12. The villain's going to activate. I'm in Alter Ego form, so they're going to scheme for 1. -2, so first let's figure out what it's at. So they're scheming for 1, 2, -2, so doesn't add any scheme. Force responses, 2 of the frostbites that are on, the 2 frostbites that are on war go away. And that's because of the frostbites forced response, because this was not an attack, and they are also at 0 hit points. But we still have the forced response from this, which makes Famine the active Horseman. Now we got to do the encounter step, which is a minion comes into play. So normally these engage over here, but I like to keep all the villain or the bad guy stuff over in one area. So we have a bad guy that comes into play, a hound here. They have guard, which means I cannot do anything against the villain until I take care of this guard. And then when revealed, if I am in hero form, hound attacks me. I am not. I am in alter ego form. Otherwise, change your identity to hero form. Okay. Actually, at first I thought I was drawn. I was like, oh, dang it. But actually, that's bad, but it's not nowhere near as bad as that first turn was. All right, well, that was the encounter step, so let's move to our turn. All right, right off the bat, I'm going to have Shark Girl go ahead and attack that hound. She ain't going to get any pluses because there's nothing attached to the hound, so she's just doing 2 damage to the hound, which is enough to take out the hound. But then she has to take a consequence damage, which is enough to knock out Shark Girl. I want to bring out Power Belt here. It costs 2. 2. And this is going to give me plus 3 hit points, which means I gain them right now. It's like my max went up, but I also gain it immediately. So I would normally, my max would be 14, but we're missing 2 hit points. So anyways, but the main thing is it's a hero resource. I can exhaust this to generate a wild resource when playing an ice card. Well, let's go ahead and let's take care of the Famine problem. We're going to have Snow Clone attack Famine, and he doesn't take consequence damage if they have a frostbite, which they do. So he attacks Famine for 2, which is enough to KO Famine, and doesn't take the consequence damage. I'm going to have Iceman attack Pestilence. And since that's a base attack, it's going to put a frostbite on Pestilence and do 2 damage to her. Because I don't know if I said it or not. I probably didn't. This is an interrupt. And it's weird. An interrupt in this game isn't quite like it is in a lot of games. An interrupt looks at basically before you did it. Like you were intended to do it. So I was intending to basic attack, and that's what triggered it. So it triggers basically then. And that only matters on certain timings. It didn't really matter in this one, but just thought I'd bring that up so if people are confused about that. But the main reason I did that is because after I resolved my freeze ability, which I did, exhaust this card to draw a card. If it has the ice trait, ready Iceman. It does have the ice trait. I figured it was going to be one of my chill outs. So I get to ready Iceman. And let's go ahead and do that chill out. So I'm going to do team building exercise. I have the ice trait, so it makes this 1 cheaper. I wanted to do this attack, but I think I'm handling attack okay. Actually, it's doing better than I thought it would do. So we did chill out here, so we get to remove 3 threat from a scheme. Remove 3 threat from a scheme. And then attach a set-aside copy of Frostbite to an enemy. Well, let's hit Frostbite on the only one I don't have it on at the moment. There we go. And actually, I don't know why I did that. I know, taking things back, but nothing's changed. Instead of doing that, let's just use my Power Belt now that I have it. And we're going to save time here. And we're going to have Snow Clone and Iceman both attack Death. No, Pestilence. I keep wanting to go after Death because Death scares me that he's going to do this damage to Snow Clone. But no, we're going to have Iceman and Snow Clone do 4 damage to Pestilence. Let's start weakening Pestilence here. Before I forget, because we attack Pestilence again, another Frostbite. Because of my trigger anytime I do a basic attack. Since we're going to have to, I only have 2 cards left in deck. And if you're new, what happens is if your deck runs out, you just reshuffle your deck. But when you do, you have to do yourself another counter card. Kind of like what happened to me with that war side scheme. So since I'm going to have to do that anyways, because I have just enough to where it's going to make my deck run out. So we might as well use these cards. So we're going to do Arctic Attack here. Paying 2. I mean, I was going to save Shadowcat to start cleaning up that threat. And I really wanted to bring out this Ice Slide. But I'm thinking we got this kind of under control. So I think we're just going to do this. Let's do 6 damage to Death. Oh, and just hope that Death doesn't wreck me with 2 encounter cards. We will see. Because all we got to do is just finish them off on the next turn. And we should be good. So that's what I'm hoping to plan on. Alright, with that, I have no cards in hand. No other actions I can do. So we're going to... Nothing to discard. Draw up to our hand size of 5. Do I want to go in the Alter Ego form? It'd probably be smarter to go in Alter Ego form. Nah, I'm more worried they can double scheme. Because it would add 1, and she's going to do some, and then, yeah. They may double scheme with the double, so nope. Yep. Anyways. Draw up to our hand size of 5. We got 2 cards left. We knew one was Chill Out. I didn't remember the other one being Take That. Well, I didn't see it, but I just didn't remember that I didn't see it in there. But yep, so we draw these 2. We have to reshuffle, so we have to deal ourselves an encounter card. And I will cut out the shuffle here, because I do a lot of shuffling. And then draw 3. 1, 2. So, top of the turn, accelerate the scheme by 1. Oh, I forgot to ready all my stuff, because I was just like, oh, let's just get to it. I want to know. I want to know. Alright. So, we're in hero form. So, Famine is going to attack me. I am not going to defend. So, they're attacking for 1 -1, so 0 right now. And then boost for 1. So, attacks me for 1. Doing 1 damage. And then the forced responses. The first one is right after they attack. They have at least 1 hit point. Discard the top 10 cards on my deck. They don't have 1 hit point. But they do have a Frostbite, which makes this Frostbite go away. Because it says after attached enemy activates or leaves place, set the card aside. But we do have it activated against me, so that makes Pestilence the active. I didn't plan on one of these could be that double activate thing again. Alright. Encounter step. We have no minions, so encounter step. Deal ourselves another encounter card. And now let's deal with our encounter cards. We got Hound, alright. We saw this earlier. They got Guard, so it's going to make it a little bit hard for me to get through all that. Maybe I don't have it this turn. When revealed, if you are in hero form, Hound attacks you. I am in hero form, so Hound is going to attack me immediately. And I'm just going to take the 2 damage, because they're not a villain, so they don't get the boost card, so it's just 2 damage. I'll just take the 2 damage. Alright. Now our other encounter card. Oh, really? It's an activation. Let me see. I just don't know which one this one is. When revealed, heal 2 damage from death. Oh, making it even. Oh, come on. Come on. Just die already. Alright. And give him a tough status card. No. Taking my victory from me. He activates against you. Oh, lovely. So I'm in hero form. It's going to attack. So he's attacking me. I'm not going to defend. So he's doing 2, 3 damage. Well, actually, he's got frostbite, so he's only doing 2 damage. But then that removes the frostbite. But also, because he has at least 1 hit point, he attacked me. If he has at least 1 hit point, deal 1 damage to each character I control. So my snow clones, maybe death is... I always, just looking at the way I was doing things, I knew death was going to be a problem for me. Now, I think I'm doing this right. I'm not sure, but it does have this forced response that after a villain activates, move the active counter to the next villain. A villain activated, but I see it as the villain. It says if it says the villain, they're talking about the active villain. This doesn't say the villain when after the villain activates. It says after a villain activates. I'm still going to say it's supposed to give them each their opportunity. I mean, I'd like to move this along because then I could do something with death and maybe have some free space here, but I'm going to assume that this is one of those times when it doesn't trigger. So we go back to the beginning of my turn. I want to do my Ice Blast here. Team building exercise. It's ice, so that makes it cheaper, make it a 2. It's ice, so this makes it, this is one of it, so I decided to pay 1 card. So I'll discard this 1 card to do Ice Blast. What Ice Blast does, the hero action, I choose a player, of course me, attach a set-aside copy of Frostbite to the villain. So this is like I was saying, that is that villain. As much as I'd like to put that on death, I can't. That is the villain. That's what I was saying. I would like to have it moved, but I'm going to play it like that's the way it's supposed to activate. And each minion engaged with that player. Remember, Hound is engaged with me, so that puts a Frostbite on Hound. Well, that's been doing that. And then deal 3 damage to each enemy with a copy of Frostbite attached. Like I said, that's the reason I would have liked that to have been on death, but... So it's going to do 3 damage to each enemy that has Frostbite on them, which is going to kill off Hound. And going to KO Pestilence. And the reason I got rid of Hound is because, it would go away. It's an upgrade, but also it says remove it when they leave play. But that did KO Pestilence, so actually that means we just got to target death here, really. So actually, maybe that worked out better than I thought it did. So I got this, I think, because I'm going to have Iceman attack death, which is going to put a Frostbite on death. But he don't take any damage instead. Because it doesn't say I have to do damage to him. He still gets Frostbite on him. I attacked him. Right? Makes basic attack or defense against the enemy. Attached set-aside copy of Frostbite. Yeah. So it still puts Frostbite on him. It just doesn't, he don't take any damage. Because I did that, that lets me exhaust this to draw a card. It does not have the ice trait, so I don't get to ready, but that's fine. Because I can do this multiple ways. I've had the snow clones doing work, so we're going to have the snow clones do it anyways. They're going to attack death for 4. Taking him to 1. They don't take consequence damage because he has Frostbite on him. And then we'll do take that. Costs me 3 resources. 3 resources. And that does 7 damage to an enemy with an upgrade attached, which he has an upgrade attached. 7 damage. So now that death is knocked out, that knocks out all of them, or is at 0 hit points, that knocks out all of them, which wins us the game. Alright, that went a little bit better than I thought it would. And like I said in the unboxing, if you saw it, I was expecting this to just be a stun lock character. It ended up not being. It ended up being more than I thought. So I'm very happy with that. And I actually kind of like this. I don't know if I like it as aggression. I would almost like to rather do it as protection. But all in all, that was fun. I enjoyed it. I always liked Iceman, so that also kind of adds to it a little bit, I'm sure. But hopefully that wasn't too long once I get the edit down and see what had happened. See if I made any mistakes. And I don't know. I may have on that enemy thing, on that villain thing, but I don't think so, but we'll see. Anyways, hopefully you enjoyed that. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.